So there's been some news in regards to India's 2024 election. I guess we're spending time talking about elections today, the Mexican election, and now this one. This is from CBS News. There's a little video here I want to play, then we can talk about it.
The results are coming in for the world's largest election in India. With nearly 1 billion people registered to vote, Prime Minister Narendra Modi could be looking at a historic third term, but he's not seeing the landslide victory he had expected. His party is also likely to lose a significant number of seats in parliament. Joining us now is Richard Rosso. He is the senior advisor and chair in U.S.-India policy studies at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. So talk to us about the final results and why we don't know them yet.
Well, the process takes a little bit of time. You've got 1,700 voting centers. They're going through the electronic results because India has a digital platform for being able to vote, but also some mail-in ballots. And they do fact check to make sure that the digital ballots equal these paper slips that are generated too. So that's part of the process. But the real meat of the question is how long is it going to take to form the government? And there, for the first time in 15 years, we're going to have a coalition, as you rightly pointed out. And that's something India hasn't done in a while, a little bit unused to. So trying to pull together different disparate parties together takes a little bit of action too. So that's happening behind the scenes. So the voting itself, as well as trying to form the coalition, two elements happening simultaneously.
Yeah, what does that practically look like here?
Well, it looks like, again, I think you rightly pointed out that the Modi government, which has had two successive terms, is likely to have a third term. They've done some good work on trying to rebuild ties with some of the potential coalition partners. India's got two major national parties, but then most of the country is actually run by smaller regional parties. So they managed to pull together a few of these smaller parties to join a coalition ahead of time. So it looks like they're in a pretty comfortable place, but nothing's done till it's done.
We're seeing a tight parliament race in northern India. Why is that region so important?
For a couple of reasons, partially that India is going to go through a major exercise during the term of this next 5-year government called delimitation, which is a reapportionment of parliament seats. And northern states in India, which have been a little bit more slower growing, actually have seen larger population gains. Southern states, where a lot of U.S. companies have set up operations, technology, auto manufacturing and such, the states that have been a little bit more dynamic and growth oriented are actually going to see a reduction in parliamentary delegations once this reapportionment is done. So that's a part of the reason. But also, we had a lot of concerns that the North might be also driven a little bit more by messages of religious tension. And the fact that the North has kind of rebuked Modi in some significant ways, I think gives us hope that maybe some of these more tension-filled issues we saw during India's election may not be the voting drivers, even in the North, we thought they were.
Will this election impact relations with the U.S.?
I don't think so in significant ways. So no matter who becomes in the cabinet, even if something miraculous happens in the next 24 hours and Prime Minister Modi is not the prime minister, the drivers remain the same. India has to create a lot of formal jobs. Almost half the population is still stuck in basic agriculture. So finding employment as people move to cities, offsetting the major trade deficit, something we in the United States very much understand. But also China's increasingly belligerent security practices in the region. India needs partnerships. The United States has been there as a big investor, as a security partner. So I think the relationship with the United States is going to remain relatively stable no matter what happens post-election.
Rick Rosso, thank you.
So I'm not really an expert on foreign affairs, as I've said many times in these videos. But this is like the quote that comes to mind with the situation is, and one I like to use a lot, that the Lord gave, the Lord taketh away, blessed be the name of the Lord. So, like, it's good that the Modi's party, the BJP, is lost some seats in Parliament. It's bad that it's been elected for a third term, or that Modi's been elected to a third term, because the BJP is a very reactionary party. It's right-wing populist. It's Hindu nationalist. The party India is becoming a less and less safe place, a less and less comfortable place for the Muslim population in there. Of course, the Hindu, the tensions between Muslims and Hindi isn't a new thing, but it is a concern. Some of the damage that Hindu nationalism can cause, and I mean, it just goes to show something else that we've talked about a lot, which is just, right-wing populism seems to be popping up everywhere. Now, again, on the flip side of it, with them losing seats in parliament, it also shows something else that we've talked about fairly frequently, which is, I think, a lot of times right-wing populism has trouble winning elections. I mean, they won the election in this case, but I think right-wing populism is becoming less and less popular than it was at one point. I mean, it's certainly true in the United States. Right-wing populists aren't winning elections at all, really. And maybe there's a sign that, India is moving closer to a more tolerant, a more integrated society. I mean, it's too early to say. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, we just have to keep an eye on Modi and his ilk, because they could really cause a great deal of damage. They've already caused a great deal of damage. Hindu nationalism is exactly the opposite of what India needs. But don't make the rules, just work here. But I thought it was an important story, so I'm trying to report more world news stories as time goes on, because politics isn't just a national issue, it's an international issue.